TV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okansi. Tonight, we unpack the Amenfi Central National Democratic Congress as the NDC conundrum, in which the sitting member of parliament risks losing his seat in parliament, while the parliamentary candidate of the NDC in this same constituency has also been disqualified under circumstances described as bizarre by the Electoral Commission. Stay with us. We have a conversation on the Amenfi Central constituency here on your election command center. The battle for parliamentary majority will likely be settled tomorrow, all things being equal, October 17, when the Speaker of Parliament is expected to deliver his reasoned ruling on the question of whether sitting members of Parliament contesting as independent candidates should vacate their seats. Also, tonight, the Sanan Asogli power plant shut down. What are the implications for power supply? We're going to have a conversation tonight, and whether in the coming days you probably should be expecting interruptions in the power supply as a result of this shutdown of the 560 megawatts Sanan Asogli plant. And we're going to tell you why the company had no option than to take this rather worrying decision as we have it right now. But as always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is GhanaTonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The National Democratic Congress NDC parliamentary candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency, Joanna Jan Kujo, has been disqualified from contesting in the upcoming 2024 parliamentary elections. This decision comes following an order for interlocutory injunction issued by the High Court in Secondary. The Electoral Commission EC confirmed the disqualification in a letter addressed to Mrs. Kujo, referencing a lawsuit filed by Judu Frimpong and 4 others against her, the NDC and the EC. The court's order prohibits Madam Kujo from presenting herself as the duly elected candidate and restricts the NDC and its affiliates from recognizing her as such. The EC emphasized that it is bound by the court's order, which has not been stayed or vacated. Lawyer for PNC flag bearer Bernard Mona is hopeful the Electoral Commission will heed the advice of the court not to take decisions which will overreach the court's decision. The High Court has set Monday, October 21 to determine the fate of the presidential aspirant regarding his status on the ballot sheet.
You cannot sacrifice administrative convenience on the altar of violating constitutional principles. The judge has duly asked the lawyer in court, as an officer of the court, to advise his client, the Electoral Commission, that because of the pendency of this suit and the fact that it's been adjourned to Monday for a ruling, the client, that's the Electoral Commission, who's off counsel, should desist from doing anything that will overreach the decision of this court.
We either reset or we sink further. These were the words of the NDC vice presidential candidate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, addressing professional groups at the Sunyani Technical University as part of her campaign tour. She said all sectors of Ghana's economy have been destroyed by the NPP government and needs urgent reset.
I want to appeal to those of you in the tertiary institutions to avoid hair splitting of the disciplines. Hair splitting of the disciplines will contribute to unemployment, as the human resource that we are growing may become a problem for us. And let's not compare other economies. We are here, we can't pay our debts. Are they the same? My brother was talking about people without water. Do they lack water? How often do you see the women with bowls on their heads going to fetch water? They have solved certain problems already. We are still battling them. So it's not the same.
An Accra High Court has granted leading member of pressure group Democracy Hub Oliver Baka-Vomao a 20,000 Ghana cedis bail with 2 shorties. This follows 3 refusals, twice by the Accra Circuit Court and once by the High Court. Sanana Sogli Power Ghana Limited has announced the suspension of operations at its 560 megawatts power plant effective Tuesday, October 8, 2024 at 5 p.m. In a statement, the company cited the inability to fund operations due to the Electricity Company of Ghana's ECG failure to meet its overdue payment obligations as the primary reason for this difficult decision. Sanana Sogli expressed regret over the shutdown, emphasizing that it has always been considerate in its dealings with ECG and the Ghanaian government. The suspension of the power plant is expected to have widespread implications for electricity supply in the country, raising concerns about potential power shortages. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, is urging the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) and the Ghana Standards Authority to enhance their routine inspections of fuel stations nationwide. This call to action follows a viral video that alleged a Guel station in Atimpoku, Eastern Region, was dispensing less fuel than what customers paid for.
I was happy that the Standards Authority official had already been here since this issue came out. We saw his verification seal that suggests that he had come to check the pumps to be sure that if somebody is buying 1 liter, is 1 liter. 10 Ghana is 10 Ghana. And that for us is some confidence building. And I'm sure that this will continue.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, some news, developing story we've been following quite closely. A soldier has been reported dead. 5 others in critical condition following an accident in Binduri in the Upper East region. We're live in the region right now to give you updates of exactly what the situation is here on Ghana Tonight, and really worrying developments we're seeing right now. We're going to put a video that we got just the early part of the evening today. 1 soldier has died or been reported dead, and 5 others seriously injured in a ghastly accident in Binduri in the Upper East region. That's information that we have right now. The soldiers were said to be returning to base after providing escort for a government official when their truck reportedly skidded off the road in Bazua and somersaulted. Upper East Regional Correspondent Castro Signala, he has been following this accident when it happened hours ago. He's joining us on Zoom right now. Castro, what more can you tell us about this rather unfortunate incident that we understand has led to the death of 1 military personnel?
Right, Alfred, it's really, really unfortunate that at a time when soldiers are needed, we're losing them. Yes, so this afternoon we got information that there was an accident involving some military officers who were returning from Boko to their base in Bazua. There's a military base in Bazua in the Binduri district. So we understand that they had given some escorts to a government official who had visited the Boko area, and on their return, their vehicle unfortunately veered off the road and ran into the roadside and somersaulted many times. When eyewitnesses got there, we understand that a lot of the officers there were injured. 1 person died on the spot, and the other 5, some other 5 occupants of the vehicle, the military truck, are currently in critical condition. We understand that the 5 have been taken to the Tamale Teaching Hospital where they are being treated of their injuries. And we also understand that these 5 people, or the soldiers, are in really bad shape, but the hope is that they will get better.
Now, based on the preliminary information that you've picked up as a result of this accident, what exactly led to their vehicle skidding off the road and somersaulting as was earlier reported?
Right, Alfred, I've been in touch with the police and even some military officers in Bazwa as we speak now. I've just got off the phone with one of them who was telling me the actual cause of the accident is yet to be ascertained, but it is believed that they may have, hit a pothole on the road. That is what I'm getting from sources within the military itself, but that is not ascertained. But I'm keeping my contacts very strongly so that when I get more information, I come through. But this has affected, made the military officers within the area very sad. I spoke to a lot of them on phone, and they tell me it's sad news for them, considering that they've lost one of theirs. Like I said earlier on, this is a time that they are needed because they are doing so much in terms of keeping the peace in Boko and its surrounding areas, and so more and more men are needed on the ground. And so for them to lose one of their own is something that is not really good.
I see. And especially because of what we are saying now, that particular area, this area quite well. Is it an accident-prone area, or this is a case in isolation, this particular accident?
I would want to describe it as a case in isolation because we don't hear so much of accidents on that particular, portion of the highway. Even though portions of the Boko Polmankong highway that is still under construction, have a lot of defects, but not that particular area where the accident happened, because I know Bazwa so well, and from Bazwa all the way to Boko town, the road is relatively very very smooth. So it is surprising that accident happened there. But like I stated earlier on, my sources say it could be that the vehicle hit a pothole and skidded up the road, like we said in the report. But we are waiting for an investigation by the police, because the police were there. The military too was also there. Officers of the military were also there to sort of investigate and to find out what really led to the accident, and also to convey the injured and the remains of the vehicles in the accident to their base in Bazwa.
Castro, thank you for the update. The Castro Sunyana is Upper East Regional Correspondent, giving us updates on this rather unfortunate development. We're learning the accident that has led to the death of a military officer, was said to be in a vehicle that delivered some services to a government official in that part of the region. We'll keep an eye on this one and be updating you more here on TV3. But this is your Election Command Center. Coming up next, the battle for the parliamentary majority will likely be settled tomorrow, Thursday, October 17, when the Speaker is expected to deliver his recent ruling. But the Amenfi Central Constituency is one to watch because of how things are playing out right now. That conundrum, you'd want to call it, in that constituency is one that especially the NDC is looking at quite closely, and also how the other members of parliament in this, caught up in all of this, would also be looking at how things play out in that particular constituency. This is your Election Command Center, and we are keeping an eye on this one big tonight. Well, in a significant legal development, the National Democratic Congress, the parliamentary candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency, Jan Kojo, has been disqualified by the Electoral Commission for contesting in the upcoming 2024 parliamentary election. Now, this decision comes following that order for interlocutory injunction issued by the High Court in the second day. We're going to get into the timelines. Dennis Pobere-Wedam is going to be joining me shortly. But the Electoral Commission issued a statement, which we have a copy of today, communicating the decision to disqualify this candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency. And bear in mind, this constituency, the sitting member of parliament is one of 4 MPs that the Honorable Haruna Idrisu has petitioned the Speaker to declare that seat vacant, because the incumbent MP has decided to go independent because of some issues that he says he wasn't too happy about during the second primaries. That's a rerun of the primaries of the NDC in that Amenfi Central constituency. And we're going to run through the details of the Electoral Commission statement communicating the disqualification of Joanna Kojo and why this has been questioned by a number of lawyers, whether the Electoral Commission really did the right thing in communicating this disqualification. This is the statement from the Electoral Commission. We've got a copy of it. It says the Commission's attention has been drawn to an order for interlocutory injunction dated 31st of May 2024 in respect of a suit entitled Jedu Frimpong and 4 others versus Joanna Jan Kojo. That's the elected parliamentary candidate of the NDC in the Amenfi Central constituency. The NDC was also joined in this suit, plus the Electoral Commission by the High Court in 2nd. The order states as follows. 1, it is ordered that until the final determination of the matter, the affected parties are restrained as follows. The first defendant, that is Joanna Kojo, the parliamentary candidate of the NDC in Amenfi Central, as a respondent, is restrained from holding herself out as a duly elected NDC candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency. The second and third defendants, that's the Electoral Commission, the NDC, their agents and officers, for holding out, allowing the first defendant from the respondent to be held out, dealt with in any way, recognized or afforded any rights or privileges as duly elected NDC parliamentary candidate. And also, it concludes this statement, the said order has neither been stayed nor vacated. Hence, the Commission is bound by saying, in this regard, they are writing to inform the candidate that she cannot hold herself or she has been disqualified from standing as a candidate for election to Parliament in the Amenfi Central constituency. So this is the letter that the Electoral Commission wrote to Joanna Kojo, who is the parliamentary candidate, elected parliamentary candidate for the NDC in this Amenfi Central constituency. And this constituency, although is a win for the NDC, they've won it since this constituency was created all throughout the period till the year 2020. The dynamics and the nuances in this constituency in terms of the electoral history will tell you one particular story, especially with respect to the incumbent member of parliament who has decided to go independent because of these issues and when he lost the parliamentary primaries. We're going to run through the timelines in a bit, but let's hear from the incumbent parliamentary candidate and then also the member of parliament for this particular area who has decided to go independent. Take a look.
You cannot eat your cake and have it. I mean, there has been precedent that the former foreigner MP also did the same, and his seat was declared. Well, not because 2 months you can't have re-election, and he went ahead and won the election. So, but because there is precedent, because Right Honorable Speaker Michael Quay declared that that was the way to go. But if you go to the article very well, if you go to the article and the condition in the Constitution, it says that you cannot cross-carpet. I mean, if you are an NDC, you cannot tomorrow get up and say that you are an MPP. And I believe that that is why they put that clause there, to avoid that. Because before, when that clause was not there, if you are NDC, the next day you can walk to the other side and then come back. So prevent that, they put this clause. I believe, I'm not a lawyer, I'm an engineer, and that if you are independent, you cannot change your situation in Parliament there, that you are independent, now you want to become an NDC or an MPP. I believe that is the reason why that clause was put there, because now I have not declared that I've left the party. I'm only declaring my intention that in the next Parliament, I want to be an independent. And so if somebody is also an NDC or an MPP now, and he wants to go independent, he's not saying that he's leaving MPP. He's saying that in the next Parliament, he doesn't want to go with MPP again. I believe that's how I understand it.
So you are ready for the consequences if the seat is declared vacant?
Oh, of course. If you take any action, there should be a reaction. So you must be ready for it. What is it? Because if you say you are going independent and the Speaker rules that your seat is vacant, what can you do? You cannot challenge the law because there has been precedent already. I know there has been precedent, but sometimes in court, judges make mistakes. So
That's Peter Yao-Kwachakwa. He is the incumbent member of parliament for the Amenfi Central Constituency. Decided to go independent. It's on the ticket of the NDC. Decided to go independent. He has a very interesting history in that Amenfi Central Constituency. You want to stay with me and follow us closely because I'll tell you about it. But there are some timelines to what's happening in this Amenfi Central Constituency that has gotten us to this point where the Electoral Commission has declared that Joanna Kojo, the parliamentary candidate-elect for the NDC in the Amenfi Central Constituency, has been disqualified. What are those timelines, Dennis?
Well, so we go back to 2023, May 13 to be specific, where the NDC held its first primary election in the Amenfi Central Constituency. And in that election, the outcome was as follows. Joan Jan Kojo came out with 756 votes. Peter Yao-Kwachakwa, who is the incumbent, sitting member of parliament, got 575. The rest, Daniel Appiah, 73, Kakmak Ayn got 39, and then Elijah Jones got 2. Fast forward to June the same year, 2023, 5 applicants, including one Jedu Frimpong, and then others decided to sue Joan Kojo. They sued the NDC and the Electoral Commission as respondents in that particular action. What they were seeking to do then, or the basis for doing so, was that they raised allegations that Joan Kojo forged her voter's ID card and then the NDC party card. And that was the beginning of all the troubles in that constituency when it comes to the NDC. Now, what do we see next? We see that in September 3, 2024, this was when it was nearing for the EC to open nominations, filing of nominations. So the NDC Functional Executive Committee met, and they decided that that particular election, which was now a subject of litigation in court, be annulled, and then they ordered a rerun of that election, providing timelines within which that was going to be done. So they opened nominations on September 6, 2024. Filing and vetting was done the following day, September 7, and then that same day, there was vetting. But unfortunately, the MP, the certain MP, Peter Yao-Kwachakwa, decided to withdraw a night before the election. So what happened was that it now meant that Joan Kojo had to run the election or to go unopposed. Ultimately, she was declared the winner of that election, and that election was supervised by the Electoral Commission. We have a video to that effect where she was declared. Then, on September 9 to 13 was when the EC opened for filing and nominations. What that meant was that if the NDC was not able to finish this election by September 8th, by the time they would have been done with the court case, which is still pending, they wouldn't have been able to meet this particular deadline because filing of nominations would have closed by September 13. So, Joanna Kojo was able to file her nomination before the end of the deadline.
Right.
On the day that the deadline elapsed, that is when the EC closed nominations, there was a petition, we understand, for her disqualification sent to the EC. Again, on the 24th of September, there was a follow-up letter on that petition for her disqualification. Now, what we do not know is what has transpired between the time the petition was sent, the time the follow-up letter was sent, and then October 10, which is just a few days ago, where there was a letter from the EC disqualifying Joanna Jan Kojo, citing the court case, including the interlocutory injunction that was granted by the court as the basis for her disqualification. Now, some members in that particular constituency, today, this morning, were agitated. In fact, they had picked intel that the lady was disqualified, but they could not understand why.
In fact, they had seen this Electoral Commission letter that we put on the screen.
Yes.
Given that notification.
Yes.
So there was some kind of
a protest, an agitation.
We saw in there. But we have videos of that.
Yeah, we have a video of that
let's
indicating, explaining why they thought it was not in the right light.
We want to state unequivocally that we will resist such moves with all our might and strength, since there is no basis for her disqualification. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Madam Joanna went through the right processes of re-election, supervised by the EC after the leadership of NDC at the national level annulled the first primaries that initially elected her. This action of party leadership was based on reliefs sought by the petitioners who thought she wasn't validly elected. It is instructive to note that contestants from the first primaries all participated in the second primaries that eventually re-elected Madam Juanajan. Interestingly, Mr. Adonis, the district electoral officer of the EC in Amenfi Central, was the one who supervised the process of electing our candidate. Our candidate, Madam Juanajan, successfully filed her nomination with the EC without any problems whatsoever, and was subsequently introduced to the general public by the EC returning officer for Amenfi Central as the NDC validatedly filed parliamentary candidate. We are therefore surprised with the turn of events being perpetuated by Dr. Bosmanasare and Mr. Adonis just to do the bidding of the.
These are the constituents there,
yes.
and placing on record that they still wanted her, that's Joanna Kujo, to be recognized as a parliamentary candidate.
Yes, and they basically recount all that has happened so far, and they are expressing surprise as to the turn of events. They are making allegations as to who is behind what has now come to be the disqualification of Joanna. But of course, they make categorical statements about who supervised the election. Because when you look at the timelines, I mean, at the time that the EC purportedly supervised this election, this particular court case, which has now been cited, was already in the known. It has already been pending since June 2023.
True.
But of course, let's look at that declaration that was made when Joanna was declared the PC for the NDC in that primary election.
I therefore declare Joanna Kujo as the parliamentary elect for the National Democratic Congress, Amenfi Central Constituency. Thank you. I therefore declare Joanna Kujo as the parliamentary elect for the National Democratic Congress, Amenfi Central Constituency. Thank you.
Well, so there you have it. Now, the fundamental question that you have lawyers asking is why the Electoral Commission supervised this rerun of the primaries in the Amenfi Central constituency when this interlocutory injunction that they refer to in this disqualification letter was actually still in force or pending as we speak. So, we're going to engage the NDC shortly about this, but this is a constituency that, based on the historical records in terms of the voting pattern, the NDC has won over the period. And I'm going to show you up in a bit. Take a look at this. Right from 1996 at the least, the NDC won that constituency with some 67.7% of the total valid vote cast. Fast forward to the year 2000, they won it again with 54.3%. But take a look, you see the NPP also closing the gap between 1996 and 2000. But in 2004, take note of the year 2004, because Peter Yaokwachi Aka, the incumbent member of parliament for this constituency, on the ticket of the NDC, was actually the NPP candidate. Was the NPP candidate in the year 2004 in this Amenfi Central constituency, and he polled 47.7% of the votes, as against the NDC candidate who won in that election in the year 2004, 48%. So it was a closely contested election in the year 2004 when Peter Kwachiaka contested on the ticket of the MPP, 47%. Now fast forward to the year 2008, Peter Kwachiaka left the NPP and contested as an independent candidate. And he did quite a good showing, which I'm going to show you in a bit. He pulled over 7,700 of the total valid vote cast, representing over 26%. Now, in the year 2012, the NDC won it 54.8%. Peter Kwachiaka did not contest in that election. He came back in 2016 on the ticket of the NDC, won that election, and then in 2020, he retained that seat on the ticket of the NDC with 58.1%, and in the year 2016, 50.5%. In fact, so if you look at the trajectory in the margin of victory for him, he increased the NDC's votes between 2016 and 2020. What's interesting is that the man that we're talking about is now going into this 2024 election not as an NDC candidate. He's going to go independent, but he has a very interesting history in this constituency. He's contested as an independent candidate before. He has contested as an NPP candidate, Peter Kwachaka, the current member of parliament for Amenfi Central. The one we heard him talk about, he going independent. He has contested as an NPP candidate, contested as an independent candidate, and then also now he won that constituency when he contested as the NDC candidate in 2016 and in 2020. So the decision to go independent, he's not new to it. But then again, in that year, 2004, when he contested on the ticket of the MPP, 2008 on the ticket as an independent candidate, he did not win that particular constituency. But he's not going into this election on the ticket of the NDC. These are the two. If the NDC, as we have understood now, is going to challenge the decision by the Electoral Commission to disqualify their candidate, Dr. Mrs. Joanna Jan Kojo. This is the NPP candidate for the Amenfi Central constituency, Dr. Albert Redu Akon. These are the two front runners in this particular constituency. So that's what we do know right now, and whether the NDC is what they're going to do going forward. But we do know the Director of Legal Affairs, that's Godwin Edudzi Tamaklo, has indicated that they are going to contest this decision by the Electoral Commission, and for the matter being that the Electoral Commission cannot go ahead to declare that Joanna Kojo as disqualified to the extent that the matter has not even been determined as yet by the court in second day. So that issue in contention is whether the Electoral Commission did actually do a good job in disqualifying her when the matter has not been determined as yet by the courts. So that's the question on the table right now. Godwin Edudzi Tamaklo is joining us right now. He's Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC. Mr. Edudzi Tamaklo, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers.
So, as we're saying now, the Electoral Commission communicated the decision to disqualify your candidate in this Amenfi Central constituency. The incumbent, who is on the ticket of the NDC, has decided to go independent because he fell out with the party. What's going to be your next step in contesting the Electoral Commission's decision?
Okay, so as you pointed out, the Electoral Commission in the letter dated 10th October communicated, they said disqualification. Quite clearly, the Electoral Commission, I'm sure, with the benefit of hindsight, will note that they are deeply in error. That error, we have different avenues to have that error corrected. Yesterday, we sent a letter to the Electoral Commission, and in that letter, we have communicated our disapproval with what they have put out. Many options are available to us. I'm not willing to disclose that on air. What we want to say, that the Electoral Commission cannot support to disqualify a person from being elected as a member of Parliament. That does not lie in their mind. But like I pointed earlier, I would use your platform to encourage the rank and file of our party to remain calm whilst we solve this problem.
But you know as well that the incumbent member of Parliament is also a subject of a petition in Parliament by the Honorable Haruna Idrisu because he has decided to go independent. And so clearly that's one that the party would also have to deal with because he's had a good showing in the constituency in the year 2020. He's not a man that you want to wish away, at least based on his history in that constituency, having contested as an MPP candidate before, as an independent candidate before, is it not?
With respect, The person you are talking about was our DC for, I think, 5 years.
Yes.
After that, in 2016, remember that in 2016, he defeated an incumbent. He defeated a sitting member of parliament to become the parliamentary candidate. He is in his second term. He went through primaries and lost the primaries to Joanna Kujojan, and now started conspiring to frustrate the party's attempt. In fact, he's on video, audio recording, conspiring with the plaintiff that took the party to court. Now, the party decided to rerun. He appeared before the party's vetting committee. The record will show that the signatures that he put on his process were signatures of persons whose signatures were put on the process without their consent, almost like forgery.
I see.
You understand? And so when he appeared before the vetting committee, and the vetting made up of our vice national chairman, the deputy director leader, deputy national organizer, a member of parliament, a 5-strong member, when they pointed out to him his own nomination process, what has happened on it, the fact that the deputy constituency youth organizer signature was forged without his knowledge. When all this thing was pointed out to him, he opted that if that's the case, he won't go through the contest. And the vetting committee report is there, duly signed by the general secretary of the party. And so, the sole person left went through the election. In fact, the election was supervised by the Electoral Commission. On the 8th of September. You understand? So I really do not know what the complaint of. And you see, Alfred, when you join a political party, at the core of it is the question of discipline. You cannot join a group of people and say, if my will is not done, then the ship must sink.
Right.
This thing brings in discipline. It's a different matter altogether. And Alfred, as for elections, you can be so confident. May he so rest in peace, Sir John. He's a fair delegate. You can be so confident that you are going to win. And you go in and lose. We have lost the election before. It was painful. But later I went home and with time I recovered. So what is this business? That if I lose an election, an internal primary, then the party must collapse. Who does that? There's a need for discipline. And look, I always tell people that when you join a political party, and the court will tell you, the constitution of a political party is contractual. It's not like our national constitution. It's contractual. You are bound by the terms. Now, you can't say that, okay, I've gone into primaries, I have lost. And if I have lost, then the NDC, to hell with it. Why did you subscribe to this membership in the first place? And Alfred, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. When this matter went to court, from the running mate, the third most powerful position in our party, the political committee, everyone that matters engaged the sitting MP.
I see.
He's adamant. And rather behind instigating. If I knew we're going to have this interview, I would have sent you audio recordings of the sitting MP encouraging the plaintiffs to do this to the party. What do you want to achieve? You have been our DC. After that, you became our MP for 8 solid years. Why has the seat been willed to you forever? No.
Well, Council, appreciate you. As you indicated, you're going to contest this because the fundamental issue is whether the Electoral Commission even did the right thing in going ahead to disqualify your candidate.
Watch this thing.
Thank you very much. We'll watch this space indeed. Godwin Edujita-Maklo is Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC, joining us there. We'll watch how things play out in this particular space and how things are going to go. But the man we're talking about, the incumbent MP, who decided to go independent, this is his record in the Amenfi Central Constituency. He's one of very few people who have this, having contested on both MPP and NDC tickets. He's played left, right, and center. He's played in the MPP field, played in the NDC, and he's played as an independent candidate as well. So this path he's taking into the 2024 election, well, it's not new to him. But he actually won only when he contested on the ticket of the NDC. So that's one to also take note of, because the NDC has a stronghold in that constituency, and right from 1996, they've won it. So it just stands to reason that, yes, even though he has some hold, which is only when he contested on ticket of the NDC that he won that constituency in 2016 and 2020, and also served as a DCE for 5 years in that particular district. So that's one thing to take note of as well. That's Peter Yao Kwachiaka's numbers in the Amenfi Central constituency. We remain your election command center. This is a space to watch. This is a constituency to watch, and how things will play out. Well, coming up next, the Speaker of Parliament, in a related development, Abansamana Kingsford Bagman, is expected to rule on the petition that seeks to declare the seats of 4 members of Parliament vacant. That decision and this petition, brought forth by the former Minority Leader Aaron Idrisu, has stirred some significant debate within the chambers and also outside of the Chamber of Parliament. In fact, we're going to hear a number of people who have been talking about this, prime being the man whose case and decision is now being referenced as the precedence for this. That's the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay. He spoke earlier on News 360 why these issues are different in his view. Take a look.
In order to understand this matter clearly, you have to give it a purposive interpretation. And if you want to give it a purposive interpretation, then you must know, ask yourself, but where is this coming from at all in our Constitution? It is coming from 1979 Constitution and 1969 Constitution. Why did it start at all? Because in the Nkrumah regime, there was this practice of carpet crossing, people moving for the political party that they belong to, upon inducement, upon fear, and so on and so forth. It was a tool used in breaking the opposition. Now, so in 1969, the Constitution framers wanted this not to happen again. Therefore, it's a protective measure. It is a shield for political parties so that their members in Parliament will not be induced or move out of their political party out of fear or whatever. If you go to a constitutional 1969 constitution-making proceedings, you will find this there. If you understand, then this is a tool in the hands of political parties to protect them. And that is why when the Communal case came, the first thing that I did when the political party that the member belonged to complained was to write to the Communal MP and ask him to explain, and gave him 7 days to do so.
Reverend Professor Aaron Michael Quay, the former Speaker of Parliament, who took that decision in this former Member of Parliament's case. Is it a case of natural justice as we're seeing it playing out? But then how things will be by end of day tomorrow, we will get to know. It's very important because referencing whether the parties would necessarily have to write to Parliament or Parliament in itself can actually take this decision after a member petitions the Speaker. It's one thing to look at. But, well, you should be concerned about what's going to come up next, because the Sanan Asogli power plant shutdown is one that is generating some concern. What exactly will that impact be and the implications for power supply in this country? That's one that we're going to spend some time on here on Ghana Tonight. And in fact, there was a statement that came through from the company detailing reasons why, and that's what you see on the screen there, detailing reasons why they're going to have to do this. ECG owes Sanan Asogli net receivables of $259 million. This is excluding fuel as of the end of September 2024. And if you recall, about a month ago here on Ghana Tonight, I referenced the letter that was signed by Toby Apede, the 14th, who owns Sanan Asogli. In fact, the foremost IPP in this country, indicating that this was going to happen if nothing is done. Well, we are at this point. So this letter by Sanan indicates that despite Sanan Asogli's decision not to invoice ECG for idle capacity, the debt owed has increased by 23% between January and September 2024, with only 22.6% of the invoices for that period settled through the cash waterfall mechanism. Sanan Asogli has, over the years, been very considerate in its dealings with ECG and the government, and unlike other independent power producers, has not even invoiced ECG for accrued idle capacity charges. And despite this, ECG owes Sanan Asogli $259 million. Their debt has grown by 23% on the net balance between January 2024 and September 2024, and only 22.6% of the invoices have been honored. That's what's happening right now. And what will be the implication of this decision? That the company says they had no choice but to do this. In fact, over 560 megawatts of power actually has been lost in the national grid because of this. Dr. Kwabena Donkor is going to be talking to us after this quick break here on Ghana Tonight. Stay with us.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply
fellow countrymen and women, the desperate NPP, realizing that they are losing the 2024 elections, has once again resorted to lies to smear the nation builder, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The NPP's claim that Mahama was against free SHS and will cancel it when elected is nothing but a barefaced lie calculated to deceive you. John Mahama started the implementation of the progressively free SHS program in 2015 with day students and had a clear plan to expand the program to cover borders, hence cannot be said to be against free SHS. What he has been against is the poor implementation of the program. Contrary to the lies of the NPP, the next NDC Mahama government will improve the implementation of the free SHS program to make it better. We will do this by scrapping the double-track system, provide a dedicated source of funding for the program, include private SHS, improve the feeding of our children, and enhance the quality of learning outcomes. Listen to the truth from the horse's own mouth.
Free senior high school education has come to stay. If anybody tells you that I, John Dramani Mahama, son of E.A. Mahama, will abolish free SHS when I come, tell the person he's a bloody liar. What I'm against is the poor implementation of the free SHS, which is creating great inconvenience for the parents, for the students, and for the teachers.
And one of the things we'll do when we come back into office, and I know inshallah we're coming back into office, is to complete the 200 community day schools that we began. so that we can bring a quick end to the double track system.
Beware of the NPP's lies. Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
While the boys get front row seats to an exciting Premier League game, the girls are next door, catching up on a scenic getaway to the Australian outback. Watching together is always better. That's why DSTV Stream has content for the whole family to enjoy. Families that watch together, bond together.
Born like this, creative, uncommon.
Crafted with flavorful African herbs and fruits. To honor people, we just celebrate your originality. Cheers to 8 years of authentic taste.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Just na me ankasa me period na say problems room ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa just na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo medro a me fire no ene ma won kra me enu kofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama no nura ene ne ho eden a watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di end point what dance am me call you no me Johnson say my name koye and pastor na my emre nyina na magina sabema na me be fear for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Luckiest star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. 8K. Hey, you get an 8K. Get that packing so you have to come. One lie. Hey, wait.
You go put it on his tab. This is my man.
Good luck. Hey, so Bill Radio. We are star 712. It's much more phone. I'm on dialing the magic numbers. Star 712. Now welcome to the luckiest. And now with me at ticket. You can buy for yourself or your loved one.
Mommy, tell mommy who's here.
You're buying for me, right?
Or who else?
Let's
choose buy ticket for others.
Love you, boo boo.
Maybe straight to option 4. Now we try. You need to buy tickets worth 50 Ghana to qualify. Yes, you can buy random or preferred tickets. I'm choosing random tickets. Listen, if you buy the random ticket, the system chooses a random number for you. But if you buy the preferred, you get to input your own preferred 5 digits. 5.
Baby, give me your 5 numbers.
And how much are we buying?
Babe, look at the body and buy you.
With your body,
Hey,
never. Tread cautiously. Now follow the prompts. Now the luckiest.
The luckiest is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform, not for persons below 18 years. TNCs apply.
Franco Trading Air Conditioner is accepted by all. It is energy efficient and is good for our weather. So grab yourself one now and enjoy the super breeze. It comes in 1.5, 2.0 and 2.5 horsepower. It is very energy efficient and so affordable. What are you waiting for? Enter any Franco Trading Enterprise branch across the country for wholesale and retail. Franco is there to serve you. So schools, hospitals, hostels, and individual homes, grab your Franco Trading Air Conditioner now. It is very affordable and energy efficient. Franco Trading Enterprise, home of quality air conditioner. Franco Air Conditioner, numero uno.
I see, Monsieur Namid 200 Ghana Kuja, sister. Buy you in 5 cities and 40 Ghana. Hey, take one container your 40 to 50 pesos and not 20 Ghana. And a dancing or look at 30 Ghana. Adai, on my bay money away.
Oh, so Casa, Michel Dean. Sha, Docura midi 20 Ghana. Me pay Cramini 15 Ghana city a day. Omo be na ewomi ya koya na ati yesan bai
hwe enye duane bonko an ekosoro John Dramani Mahama time Smith 1 bag ne ye 24 Ghana cedis me nkonto Smith 1 bag a yesi eye 108 cedis ayon ross ye beton sen it is say wo si dan a saying, and I'll be saying, John Dramani Mahama me Gia. Yabewo,
Yanya Bibia for who come back here.
I'll come to the end queen. You better fire one drink, pa. Then people are buying. But dear him more, Ankasa, media minimum how. Na media, measure my sitting, number 12.
And yes, I need dear. A year kufu de neni bawo mia. Nyame ya dom ne se December 7. Dura. You be true master said you to buy. You be true Ankasa.
Shawa sit no mo to abapa. E de sakra ya papa beba wa brabo mu. To abama John Mahama ne NDC.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Let's get into the details of, in fact, the reactions to this development with Senator Asogli Power shutting down that's his power plant due to some $259 million debt owed by ECG. We're going to lose, but in fact, some 560 megawatts of power as we speak to the national grid. Dr. Kwabena Donko is Pro-East Member of Parliament and former Power Minister. Appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. What are the implications of this development as we're seeing right now?
Well, we have two risks we face. Apart from the capacity of Senator Asogli, slightly over 500 megawatts combined going off, there's a possibility of contagion. If other IPPs decide to follow suit, the contagion effect will also be there. But fundamentally, this is a financial problem. In 2023, ECG made a net loss of slightly over 10 billion cedis. In 2022, the loss was also around 10 billion cedis. And so in terms of ECG's financial muscle, ECG is unable to meet its due obligations, and that is a challenge. But it is also important that we don't heap all the blame on ECG, particularly in terms of its losses, because the losses underpin its inability to meet its contractual obligations. If out of the about 10.2 billion CD loss in 2023, exchange losses alone exceeded 8 billion cedis. So there is a broader problem of the macroeconomy, the fiscal regime. When an entity, about 80% of an entity's operating loss is attributable to exchange losses, then we have a challenge.
So by these exchange losses, you mean the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar, essentially?
Precisely. The net effect on ECG for 2023 was slightly above 8 billion cedis. So the managers of the macroeconomy have a hand in this, especially managers of monetary policy. They have a hand in this challenge. Of course, there is the inefficiency, there are the structural problems of ECG, and that the board of ECG has to take responsibility for. Because if your operational and commercial losses are nearly 30% or around 30%, there is a challenge. Your markup in any business will not exceed 30%. So basically, we are under recovering costs. And financial sustainability is the biggest challenge of ECG today.
Right. But a quick one before we go. Because of this, are we going to experience interruptions in power supply? I mean, Dumso in the coming days? Because Senator Asogli, 560 megawatts to the national grid, that's a lot.
Well, I don't know what you call Dumso, but yes, it will have impact on the availability of power. Because Senator Asogli is the single largest IPP. It's the single largest IPP. We can ramp up Akosombo, we can ramp up Pong, but it will be challenging.
It will be challenging, and fortunately, that impact will also be felt by all of us. Appreciate your time, and we'll see how the coming days will look like. Dr. Kwabena Donkor is former Power Minister and Member of Parliament for the Pro East Constituency. There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company here on Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Kansi. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.